Hello, and welcome to the first video in our series on the Microbit, which is a kind of extension to Scratch. Uses a lot of the same kind of ideas of blocks, putting things together to make the program you want. It's going to be a pretty simple one to start with, because it's just we really want to introduce what a Microbit is. And in fact, if we're going to introduce it here, so you'll see in the top left here, this is a virtual Microbit. So you have this to use here if you don't have a Microbit at home. You can always rent one from the library. There's no cost to borrowing these out from the library. If you have a Hampshire library near you, you can also order them in, that kind of thing. But regardless, there's a demonstration one on the top left, and this will function the same as a one in real life. However, I can also show you what one looks like in real life if I hit this button here, and you can see. Ta-da-da. So this is the Microbit here. So it's plugged in. There's a little USB cable there, and that's just plugged into the front of my computer. And that's giving it power. There's also a you can plug in a battery pack that will come in a Microbit pack. And that way, you need the cable to put programs onto the Microbit to run, but then afterwards they'll run themselves as long as they're plugged into a power source. So if you've got a battery pack plugged into it, that'll work as well. So you can see there's a few things. So there's an A button and a B button. It also understands if you press both buttons together, that's another function. So it's essentially like three different button commands you can do. I think there's also, in fact, I think there's an element of like understanding speed. I think there's like a gyroscope or something. Oh, a speedometer, that's the word. Speedometer, is it? I forget. We'll discover those as the projects get there. But I think it understands like speed and maybe like it being shaken. We'll get down to that. But at the moment, as I understand it, with this first lesson, I know there are two buttons and a secret third button if I press them together. But at the moment, it's not going to do that much. So let's make some things for this to do. So I physically jump around my living room. Let's get rid of that for the moment. So, as with a lot of Scratch projects, well, except we don't have to get rid of the cat anymore. The cat just moved on from the cat. On start is this little button there, so when it starts, something's going to happen. All we're going to be playing with right now is this function that show LEDs. So as you see, the display on the front of Microbit is a 5x5 grid of LEDs, little light emitting diodes. So when this thing turns on, the first thing that happens, it's going to display what's just on there. In fact, it's the only thing that's going to happen, is it's going to display what is on here. Simple. Next up, let's add a little bit. We have our on button presses. So you remember we had like when Z is pressed, when space is pressed, do this. These are the buttons that are actually on the device that you saw a second ago. So we are going to say there's an A and a B. And we're going to say if you press A, you will get this smiley face. And if you press B, you are going to get a not so smiley face. Here. No, wait, that's smiling again. I forgot what. I'm too cheerful a person. I forgot what frowns look like. So, press A, happy, press B, sad. And you can see from what I did earlier as well. Actually, no, I can't. I'll get to that in a second. I would be able to press A and B on there to do something. But we are going to add a little bit more to this before we do that. I will admit I did something which I don't usually do, which is I actually prepared this time. I actually tried this out ahead of time. So you can add a pause here. And pauses are like when you used to wait 2 seconds, except now we're waiting like 200 milliseconds. So like smaller things. You can still put seconds if you want a longer break between things. but we're aiming for a bit of animation here. So we're actually going to want this. I just want this on the bottom, because then we want another one of these that's just going to be an emotionless face. It's just going to be do 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 do. You can click each one, or you can just hold the mouse button down and just draw a line. That will do the same thing. So now, if we hit A and B, it does a little like it does it sort of as an animation. So it puts the first LED thing, waits 200 milliseconds, does the next one. So you can use this to make sort of animation. So you have this, not even connected to the computer, you just have this thing, answer yes or no questions, like, hey, feeling good? Like, yeah. With a simple button press. A and a B, done. This is actually the end of the project officially. We're going to add this because I played around with this earlier. Because you can make much more complicated projects if you wanted. So I'm going to start with... Should I get rid of the... Yeah, let's get rid of the pause. I don't need the pause here. A and a B. So it's going to be... Oh no, what if I don't... Okay, there's going to be a dot in the middle, and then it's going to be dots around the outside, and then it's going to be full of dots aside from that. Wait, over there. Let's put you there. And this last one is just going to be a ring of dots at the end. And then I lied because I want another one. It's going to be no dots at all. So if this works out right, it should look like a little explosion. I've overloaded the microbit. I've asked it too many buttons at once, and it's exploded. So it's kind of neat. So you basically build things like Scratch. This one's just about doing this messing with the LED display because it's a very important part of this thing. So definitely just like an idea of get to grips, knock around, make some weird designs for this thing. And then we'll show you kind of how to get this onto the microbit. And there are a couple of choices. The one I recommend is this one. So I should just be able to look at this here. Oh yeah, this is the one. So one of the things we can do is pair the microbit to the computer, which means normally the process is you save a project, bad. So save the project, and you will get what is called a hex file. And you can, as long as the microbit is attached to the computer, you can see that as a drive. It'll be like h:/microbit, and you drag it and drop it onto there, or copy and paste it. Basically, when you put that hex file on the microbit, it will know when it runs to run that program, like install it and run it. And you can drag and drop it each time. Instead, what you can do, and this is a good thing for this first lesson, if you go to this address up here, this web USB bit on makecode.microbit, it will... Oh no, I'm on the wrong one again, aren't I? I'm on the troubleshooting downloads. That's it. Forget that one. We want to pair the devices, and the only way we can do that is if our microbit is the right firmware. So what you want to do is, where it says upgrade the firmware, we want to download the firmware hex file here. So scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. Download the latest firmware, and then drag and drop that. Oh, you even see a little thing. So when you unplug the microbit, that's what we do. We unplug the microbit, and then there's a reset button on the back, and you want to hold that down, and then plug it in, and then rather than, it will normally show up as microbit as a drive. But if it says maintenance, that means you're in maintenance mode, which is good. And then we want to drag and drop this firmware file, a look like that, into the microbit. And then if that works, that maintenance drive will then say microbit again. And that means you can do a better thing, which is called pairing. So if we hit this button, it's gone now because it already connected itself. If you hit the button to pair the device, it will then be paired. So if you just hit the word download, actually, I can even probably show what this looks like when it happens. So we will hit download here, and you see, as it happens in real time, this just takes out, because you're going to have to be dragging and dropping files onto the microbit over and over and over again. So if you can do the firmware step the first time and get a parent and everyone to help you, that's fine, no trouble. If you do that the first time and you can pair it, then just when you're plugged in, you can just hit that download button and it'll just go straight on there. And that will just save you a lot of hassle in the future. The drag and drop over and over. So now, you see that on my microbit here. If I press A, we get our smiley face. I press B, unhappy face. Press both. Explosion. It's pretty neat. So this will kind of be what the projects look like in the future. I'm going to keep this live action camera so you can see what it'll actually look like when it's made. And I could probably just keep this up. Now that we've got it paired, it's going to be much easier for me to show this in real time. So we might just use this as the one I'm demonstrating all the time so you can see what it'll look like as we're developing it in real time, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. I can't do a thumbs up. I'm gonna break this strange step that I made. But that's it. So that is project one. It's a very simple one. There's a bit of setup to sort of get, it's just really to get you in a state where you can make a simple project, a simple sort of LED thing, give it a test on your device, make sure it works, and actually like get used to the idea of like how you would get programs running on it. So you can again either drag and drop or hit that button to save a hex file and then drag and drop that hex file onto your device, or download the latest firmware, which again we got from this troubleshoot page here. Download that on there, and then in the future you can just have it paired to it, and that way, as long as it shows that little USB download there, that little like weird fork prong thing, then you just hit that and it'll download straight onto your device. You won't have to do as much faffing around. That's pretty neat. But that is the first project. I will see you next week for project 2. No idea what that is. This is as much as I've read up on it. We'll see what we do then. Alright.